This is Randy Credico, live on the fly for WBAI and Progressive Radio Network and the Pacifica Network. I am here. This is an open market in downtown Donetsk. This place yesterday, this open market, it's an open market like we have in New York City, the farmers market. That's what you have here. And two bombs, two HIMARS were launched from the Ukrainians to this spot here, killing 9 people yesterday. Just down the block at a university, one person, maybe 2 died there, but they hit indiscriminately civilians here and at the university. 2 bombs. They come, and 20 minutes later, another one hits as the emergency crews are cleaning up. That's been the MO, and the mainstream media is not talking about it, but we are. We'll have more on this. I'm Randy Credico live on the fly in Donetsk, People's Republic of Donetsk. I'm gonna get in trouble. You know.
What are you talking about, Randy? What are you talking about, man?
You know, I'm just kidding. That's some beautiful music. That's some beautiful music that I heard at the UN a couple of months ago, May 8th of last year, or May 9th, whatever. And it's a great group, and we'll talk about that later. And at the beginning was me exactly 3 years ago this Sunday. It was Palm Sunday that week in Donetsk, and I was there, as you recall. I was there, Reggie, and I was scared stiff that entire 7 days that I was there. Mariupol, Sour-Mogia, and you could see the way I was such a wreck, you know. It's not a place to go, the war zone, when you're 69 years old and you have vision like Mr. Magoo. At any rate, this is Live on the Fly. This is WBAI, Free Speech Radio. We can keep it alive. It's listener supported, and we're broadcast throughout the tri-state area. I got a very special show at 4 o'clock. Lawrence Wilkerson, Craig Murray, and Dennis Fritz are going to join us. And in this first hour, I have a co-host. I'm going to bring him in right now before I play that music. Because this guy Stas, his whole name is Stanislav Krapivnik. I wrote it down. Krapivnik. See, everyone's always has got my name wrong. Kredico, but Krapivnik. And I've looked at this pronunciation 100 times, phonetically spelled it out. But Stas is his name, and he's great. He really is a wonderful guy. I watch him all the time. I'm a huge fan. So, Larry Johnson, you know Stas really well. You were on the show with him yesterday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about, since I can't read well, I know that he came to this country in '79 he was born in Lugansk, where my friend Faina lives, that little young podcaster. And he moved to the U.S. He joined the Army, North Carolina of all places, and he joined the Army, was there from, I think, 93 to 2004 in the Army as an officer, and then he went back, and now he's like this expert on military affairs, and he's like this executive, or what do you call it, supply chain oil executive.
Yeah, he worked in the oil industry as with Halliburton, but he he grew up. He was a young kid when he came to the States with his parents.
Yeah.
Went to North Carolina State, was ROTC there, and then gets graduates from there, and then joins the Army, and is prepared to be promoted to major when he leaves the Army, and then returns, decides to go back to Russia.
Yeah.
And so he's, but while in Russia, he worked with Halliburton, worked in Armenia, Azerbaijan.
Wow.
So he knows the oil industry, not just the military, but the oil industry.
Yeah, I heard him the other day talking about these vessels, these underground oil vessels. If they get hit, it takes forever. They're on a big truck, and it's like it reminds me of that character, Billy Bob Thornton, or is it Billy Bob Thornton in Landman? Have you seen Landman? And I watched that, and I'm amazed at, and he's reading a script, right?
Mm-hmm.
Billy Bob Thornton, and you listen to Stas, and like he knows it without a script. All right, he knows the business. And like I said, he's really an astounding, a very interesting character. So I'm glad you're with me, Larry. There's nothing going on in the news today, so we'll try to find something.
Yeah.
I know. Were you on his podcast, In the Eye of Truth? Was that it?
Yes.
Yes. All
Yeah.
right. I looked all night for it, Larry. But I saw him with Eva Bartlett. I saw an interview he did with my friend Eva Bartlett. That was great. All right, so we're going to play some music. Larry, you were in Moscow. It's a beautiful city. At night, I was at this place the one time I was there, 3 years ago, and I went to this bar called Herat with somebody from RT, and there was this group there, this couple singing this tune here. This is a very famous, I don't know if it was written in like 1942, 43, but it's called Moscow Nights. We'll be right back with the great Stanislav Krapivnik. This is Randy Kraduko. All right, we'll be right back. I definitely cannot pronounce the name of that bass singer, but I know the woman is Aida. Forget about it.
Isn't she Italian?
Yeah, no, she's not Italian. She's actually from Kazan. Garofalini. She's from Kazan. Yeah, seriously.
I remember the name.
Yeah, okay. And his name is Havor Toski.
Krapivnik.
No, Havor Toski. I know his name, Krapivnik.
Oh.
All right. Are you there, Stas?
Yes, I am. Yes,
I'm sorry for butchering your name. I've been like practicing it, and I had my broadcast news moment there. Here I had a chance to pronounce it perfectly. I got it in big letters. You see that, Reggie? How big those letters are?
Yeah, I can. I'm a witness.
Krapivnik. It's
Big
like
letters.
so easy.
Big fonts.
But
I was Private K. I was Lieutenant K. I was Captain K. This was Captain Kangaroo. At least that's a good one.
you remember Captain Kangaroo?
Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm dating myself probably.
Right.
Yeah, I watched them when I was a little kid.
So yeah. Well, so did I, and I guess you saw the Munsters too.
Oh yeah. That was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah. Well, the guy who played
There were reruns by then, obviously, but
Yeah,
And Gunsmoke.
Oh, Gunsmoke's my favorite show. I love Marshall Dillon. Yes, I love Marshall Dillon, and I love Kitty, and I love the whole crew. You know that who was it? Who was the creator of that? It was a very famous director. Did the first season, and then he moved on. I'll think of it as soon as I can pronounce Krapivnik correctly. Larry Johnson, were you a fan of the Munsters?
Yeah, we watched it live.
Yeah.
We watched, it was just airing. I mean,
Yeah, you and I are the same age, Larry. I'm a little bit older, so show some respect.
No, you're a lotto.
I know. Now, wait a second. Now, Grandpa Munster, Al Lewis, he and I, it was his show, but I used to be the co-host of it back in '99 till 2003. He was one of my closest friends, Al Lewis, and he was really a dynamite individual. I really miss him. So I used to make a lot of prison visits with him. He was into reforming prisons, and he and I used to go up to all the jam-packed prisons with people who smoke pot in New York State, the Rockefeller drug laws. But the reason why I bring it up, the Munsters, is I'm looking at that kid, Eddie Munster, the little kid. Does he not look like grown up like Pete Hegseth?
Actually, you know who I think Pete Hegseth now looks like? You remember Pee Wee Herman?
Yeah. That's a good.
That little tight suit that he always wore. That's Pete.
That's it. He's the only guy in the world that still uses Brill cream, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that ad, Brill cream, a little dab of do ya? Right?
Yeah.
But doesn't he look like that guy? Jesus.
Yep.
Is he going to hold on, Larry, to his gig?
Unfortunately, yes. This is, he's out of control.
Oh, no kidding. I think he had a slip, as a recovering alcoholic that doesn't always stay online. I know what slips are, and I know he's had a slip.
Well, there's changing. The officers at the Pentagon, many are saying they no longer call it the Department of War. They call it the Department of War Crimes.
Right.
Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're committing war crimes.
Yeah. Is there anything redeeming about him, Stas?
The only thing I could say that was redeeming, and I'm not sure what he did or not, was he was going to instigate standards back into the military. Because, the U.S. military last year had a 22% obesity rate.
Yeah.
When I was serving, there wasn't a 1% obesity rate. It just wasn't tolerated.
What do you ascribe that to?
Easy. Afghanistan and Iraq. There are guys that went there 7-8 times, 7-8 tours, 8 years spending in Iraq, because there were just enough people, and they were just getting recycled from one battalion to another. And these are the guys that come back and then go tell their kids, they tell their brothers, they tell their neighbors, don't go into the military. They're just going to use you up and throw you out. Department of Veteran Affairs is horrible about a lot of things. I mean, you've got a suicide rate in the U.S. for military and veterans, primary veterans, of 23 people a day, and it hasn't really fallen much. It's been pretty steady for the last decade. It's insane. 100,000 plus veterans are out in the streets.
It's amazing.
Somalis come in there and they get free housing, and the veterans get kicked out on the street.
Yeah.
And they had a lower standards because they couldn't get enough recruitment in.
And what about the
lower and lower.
VA? I mean, the VA, I hear that the conditions in some of these hospitals, Larry, are really atrocious, squalid.
Yeah, well, I know Walter Reed used to be that way when it was over on Georgia Avenue. But then they moved the name to the Bethesda Naval Hospital, renamed Bethesda Naval as Walter Reed. And they did modernize it, so it's not bad there. But the treatment for the troops is terrible because once if you're a double amputee, once you're through the initial phase of the treatment, then they can put you in, I'll call them like a little apartments that are there, but you don't have any real income, and so you have to buy a lot of your own cleaning supplies and other things. I mean, it's an appalling treatment.
Yeah.
My bookkeeper formed a charity that provides checks to those soldiers, the wounded soldiers, Marines, sailors. But it's a small amount, but it's something.
Yeah,
So yeah, we're not good with our veterans.
Yeah, and Trump, I don't think, has visited any of these hospitals yet, has he?
Only for his own medical checkup.
Yeah.
Walter Reed.
Well, he should be going to Bellevue for a mental checkup. What do you think, Stas? Is he mentally there? Trump?
All you have to do is look at his speech patterns from Trump 1 to Trump 2. Yeah. Okay, that's what we're looking at, what, 8-year difference. He talks he talks like my little boy. I mean, he talks like in the range of something between an 8 and a 12-year-old. Choppy sentences, big bombastic words. He can't finish the sentence. He can't finish his thought, and that's a big degradation from Trump 1.
Right.
Trump 1 was much more, I won't say eloquent per se, but you could follow his ramblings a lot easier than now. I mean, there's narcissism and rambling, which is probably the worst two things if you're going to listen to a man's speech. And I listen to his speeches because that's kind of part of my present job, so it's hard.
He was a real Cicero the other night, Larry, wasn't he?
Oh,
that was the first speech I've heard him give, either first term, second term campaign, where he actually read the script. It was a scripted speech.
Yeah.
He read it. He didn't deviate from it, but he did sound like a little bit like Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. I mean, just this monotone,
right,
unemotional. It's very strange. And you remember he used to talk about Joe Biden being low energy.
Yeah, that was that low energy. Holy man.
He was real low energy.
He needed some Adderall really bad, or some crystal meth, man. But he was like definitely.
Well, no, actually, all he had to do was go look for Hunter Biden's cocaine stash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's that? No, it's been cleaned up in the East Room. All right, they already grabbed the stash.
Cleaned up or used up.
And so, Stas, I want to ask you about that. And I should ask Larry this, but I want a view from where you are. What is not even the night of the long knives, but the year of the long knives. First the JAG officers, and then you have 3 generals. One's a chaplain general, but the other one was the head of the Army. How do you look at that from your vantage point?
Well, I would hope that they were resigning on protest at the idiocy of sending ground troops to a meat locker, basically. I mean, anybody that lands on any of those islands, they're dead. They're going to be hounded by drones. They're going to, and it's a pointless waste of life. So I'd hope that they were resigning in protest. But for what I'm hearing, it's just over issues of getting people promoted, things like that, more banal issues. But what you're seeing is, a year ago, Pete Hegseth didn't follow Trump word for word, and he got smacked for that. And he had several of his closest people got thrown under the bus. So I think he got the message. You're either a yes man or you're out. And I think that's exactly the same thing that he's pushing down on everybody below him. You kiss my rear end and do exactly what I tell you with no... basically, if I wanted your opinion, I'd squeeze it out of you. To that point. And I think that's what the military at that level has become. Just a bunch of yes men. They were already yes men to a pretty big degree because generals want to become directors in big corporations or lobbyists, or they want to be on CNN or Fox reading pre-prepared scripts for millions of dollars. I mean, that's obvious enough. But now I think it's just gotten that much worse.
Larry, do you think he was forced out, or it was because he was not happy with, some of the other issues? Was he forced out? Was this like?
No, he was forced out.
I saw your column last night. Your column last night, which is great, at Sonar 21, and I woke up to that this morning. So. And I was astounded by it. And someone mentioned it on, I think I was watching Al Jazeera. It wasn't even confirmed. But first it was Bondi, and now you got 3 generals. And I have no idea if he's consolidating power or what. What's his plan, Larry?
Well, no. What is it? Well,
Pete Headcase, by the way. I call him Headcase because he is a headcase. Yeah.
So, number one, the General Randy George, the Army Chief of Staff, he's opposed to going and putting ground troops in Iran, and so that was a point of friction, number one. But number two, what Hegseth, or head case as you call him, what he's doing is creating a Praetorian Guard. So if you go back to the Roman times, The regular army was the legionnaires. They were not.
Right.
They were loyal to Rome.
Right.
In this case, soldiers who are loyal to the Constitution. But what Hegseth and Trump want, and didn't really start with him. It actually started with Obama, but creating a politicized military corps whose loyalty is to the president, not the president in the office, the president in terms of the particular politics of that president. And that's what's so damn dangerous about this.
Yeah, it's scary. I don't know where they're going from here. By the way, Sam Peckinpah, I was trying to think of, who did a lot of those early Gunsmokes. And let me get back to Gunsmoke.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you hear a lot of card analogies right now. I mean, it's like who's got the cards? And Trump thinks he's Amarillo Slim, but he reminds me of one of those guys in those Gunsmoke episodes where guys like really whacked out, sitting around playing faro or playing poker, and he ends up completely broke, completely broke, and all he's got left is clothes. He's lost his shirt. He's at the bar with Kitty, and he starts causing a lot of trouble because he's got a gun. He's like almost a naked man with a gun. Does Trump remind you of one of those characters that just like has lost it? And I'm asking you, Stas.
Well, Trump's mentor was Roy Cohn. And this is a guy who was a shyst, the best of them. This guy, he was a con artist, basically. And what did he teach Trump is just double down, double, triple, quadruple down. Don't admit you're wrong. Don't walk away from it. And that's, look, everybody makes mistakes, but if you can't ever admit that you, A, make a mistake, so you never learn from those mistakes, and B, when that mistake, doubling down, is just going to cost the lives of thousands more people on both sides, you've got to have that self-awareness. I don't think Trump ever had a self-awareness. I've got a guy that I know that I'm friends with. His name is Viktor Odetsky, and this guy was former Russian or former Soviet special forces, and then he. After the Soviet Union fell apart, he went. He was fought in Afghanistan, and he went to the Foreign Legion. Then wound up in Navy SEALs as a sergeant in Navy SEALs. And the first time he met Trump was in, I think he was saying, it was '94. His Navy SEAL team was sent to I keep mispronouncing his estate in Florida.
Oh, Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, Mar-a-Lago. So he gets sent to Mar-a-Lago. Their SEAL team gets sent there to run security for Trump's birthday, which is already, that's fraud and abuse. These aren't veterans. This is an active duty SEAL team. And then after that, he wound up meeting Trump later on, a couple of years later, and became part of Trump's entourage. And he was just telling me about the amount of drugs that they were doing, the party drugs, and so on and so on. And it's, how much brain damage was done. I don't know. But it's got to have been a pretty good dosage.
You were there then. You were there in '94, right? Yes, I'm just thinking about that. And why did you leave? Why did you leave the army? Was it had something to do with the bombing of Yugoslavia by Bill Clinton?
That wasn't the real reason. That helped. That egged it on. Honestly speaking, so in '99, second half of '99, that's September, I wound up I was a captain. I wound up in 18th Airborne Headquarters in G3, so that's ops. And, what did I see? Except for when we were getting ready to go into Baghdad, everything was to get ready for war with Russia. And honestly speaking, that just didn't sit too well with me.
I can't imagine. Yeah, you talk about that. The generals were planning things. You were like sketching out scenarios.
Oh yeah, some of the scenarios were just absolutely insane. Some of the war games we were fielding, because you're doing it at headquarters units. So you have these exercises with our troops at a headquarters unit. So you're exercising the staff, and just one of them. So this was typical, and the way it ran. So the 18th Airborne Corps, which is 82nd Airborne, 101st Airborne Air Assault, 10th Mountain, and 3rd Mechanized, plus other units, battalion, company-sized units, is supposed to stop a Russian tank army. Okay, so it's in the hills, on defensive lines in the hills. There's no way in real life you would be able to do that. But so they're simulating this. And, casualties, even with the computers, the way everything's cooked, the casualties are massive. So what do you do? Because it's an exercise, and this is going to go up to the Pentagon. At night, while the generals are asleep and the colonels are asleep, there's only one or two colonels, and I've got the night shift, so I'm watching this happen. Okay, so we get reinforced. Let's see, we're down 70%. We get reinforced 75%. Whoa, we won the next day. And you're sitting there watching these guys high-five each other. Yes, we can do this. The captains and the majors like, Jesus, seriously? This is how it works? But yeah, then they go take a report to the Pentagon that, yes, the 18th Airborne Corps can take out a Russian tank army. Wow. You see things like that constantly. It's like, oh, my God. But yeah, getting ready for war, I didn't want to fight.
Right. And there's Russophobia in the Army. Mm-hmm. In the flag, Russophobia, or racism. You said you experienced some of that? I saw you in some.
Oh yeah. I was a cadet, so I'm Russian. I'm ethnically Russian. I was born in the Soviet Union. I was a cadet at Fort Bragg cadet camp. So this is '93. And I was interested in military intelligence. And this little chubby colonel walks in who picks future lieutenants, cadets for lieutenants for military intelligence. I walk up to him. I don't have an accent. I could speak like a good North Carolinian if I really wanted to.
You sound like Strom Thurmond.
Yeah. Well, that's South Carolina.
I'm kidding. All right, there. You don't sound like Jesse Helms. You don't sound like Jesse Helms. All right, Jesse Helms work like that. All right, yeah. Go. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
So I walk up to him and say, "Hey, sir, I want to join, go into military intelligence." Blah blah blah. He's talking. Oh yeah, that's great. Blah blah blah. And I'm asking him, I was like, "Well, sir, I don't know if there's going to be a problem. I'm Russian and I was born in the Soviet Union." Why I said that up front is because everything's in your records, your religion, your nationality, not just like you're white or black, but your nationality, their place of birth. It's all in your records. I mean, he's going to open up the first page and can see all that. There's no point in hiding that. And he looks at me like a piece of one of those four-letter words I'm not supposed to use.
You got the photo, all right.
Shove it and what I can do with myself, and it storms out. I'm like, son of a... and then...
You can say that one, right?
Yeah.
Son of a bee, yes. Yes,
when I was a captain already, so I wanted to go into Special Forces, and started getting myself ready, and I go in there for my interview to go sign up for a course. And they tell me, it's like, well, we've got Russian speakers. We don't know if we can get you a top secret clearance. I had a secret clearance, obviously, as an officer. We don't know if we can get you a top secret clearance, and we're not going to bother trying. We don't need Russians. Well,
wow.
Thank you. Yeah, this. It's like, okay, and that's strictly on a racial basis. And what really was a kick in the balls. This is before. So I'm a senior lieutenant. I'm XO. In a mechanized infantry company. We're in Bosnia, and I'm getting ready to lead a joint Russian-American inspection team of a base in Bosnia. It's actually it's a storage facility that they were keeping a lot of weapons and a lot of duds that we found out by accident. We almost got ourselves blown up on. So we had a platoon of Russian airborne attached to our company, and myself and two Russian lieutenants were standing there waiting for the American MI team to arrive. And this is 1997? Yeah, 1997. Waiting for the American MI team to arrive. They're talking in Russian. We're all lieutenants. And the MI team arrives, and the swarthy-looking first lieutenant pops out, walks up, starts speaking Russian to us. We're like, okay, you're not an American. Where are you from? He's like, I'm Armenian. I'm like, when did you... Because I wasn't quite sure, was it just because I was from the Soviet Union that they told me, that they wouldn't let me into military intelligence, or just specifically because I was Russian? I look at him, I was like, when did you get to the U.S.? He's like, 91. This is 97. Like, and you had no problem getting, oh no, got the secret clearance for no problem, top secret clearance, no problem. Like, son of a biscuit eater. It's like, frick, man.
I'm going to start
I was in
using
the US
that
in
phrase.
79, and there you go.
I think
like
a SOB's good, right? We're good with SOB.
Yeah.
Wow. Larry, you never had that treatment when you were at the CIA, but I want to move on to the war in Ukraine, the special military operation, the root causes of it. But I got to spend a few minutes here talking about the situation in Iran, and two things, Larry. You can address them both if you want, and that is the dry docking of the Gerald F. Ford and the in I think Norfolk, and the other one is the downing of an F-15, or was it an F-35?
Yeah.
What was it? Give me a few minutes on those issues.
So, but let's deal first. Let's teach all the listeners a new term that it's a prerequisite to be a Trump appointee, to serve under Donald Trump, and the term is pygobasorexia. Pygo, P-Y-G-O, and then basorexia, B-A-S-O-R-E-X-I-A. Pygo means intense focus on the buttocks. And basorexia is intense.
How do you not violate the 7 words that are banned? Go ahead.
No. And so pygo is basically buttocks, and then the rear end, also known. And then basorexia is intense desire to kiss. So pygobasorexia is just, it's a very polite scientific term for kissing one's derriere.
What does...
And so that...
Well, what does that got to do with the Gerald Ford, what is it called? Aircraft carrier, leaving after being at sea for a year,
Yeah, it was just...
That's very funny.
This is my comedy routine.
It's very funny. I got to tell you something. Go ahead.
Okay.
So to be a Trump, you need that condition to be a Trump appointee, and it doesn't really keep you there. I mean, Bondi's gone.
Oh boy, did you see? That was a throw mama from the train moment yesterday, boy. There's already pictures showing her pictures in trash cans. Guys were running down the hallway, grabbing her picture off the wall and throwing it in the trash. She's, it was like the Wicked Witch of the West had got whacked.
Wow, I don't understand it. You're nobody's safe there. It reminds me when Saddam Hussein, that video of him giving a speech, and it's a big crowd in this auditorium, and every so often he'd pick somebody in the crowd and they'd take him out to execute him. You ever seen that film?
No, I haven't.
All right, well, go ahead. Go tell me about. Don't spend too much time with Bondi.
The F-15. It's a 2-seater.
Yeah.
It has a pilot and a chief weapons officer.
Yeah.
And the pilot was rescued, and they have no idea where the chief weapons officer is, whether he's dead or hiding or captured. That was as of a couple hours ago.
Yes.
So this is the first missing American now in Iran. Going to put more pressure on Trump.
Yeah.
He was, they're supposed to launch a ground operation this weekend. It still may come off, but it may be postponed, delayed till next week because of this missing pilot or crew member. So, but Trump is, he's insistent on going in and doing this. Now, coming back to the aircraft carrier. $15 billion, and you think they'd get a working toilet, but no. This is they. In the 19th century, they referred the sailing ships had a poop deck. Now, the poop deck is actually it's a French term for deck.
Right.
But someone, I guess, decided that they'd update the term to the 21st century, and they literally had a poop deck inside this $15 billion aircraft carrier because the toilets were overflowing, and it was, sludgy rivers flowing down the hallways, the corridors. And then, to top it off, they say that a bunch of dryer lint caught on fire and burned for 30 hours.
Wow.
Now, right off the bat, you've got to say, are you kidding me? You mean you don't have a standard protocol on a ship to periodically go through and clean out the dryer vents? Really?
Wow.
You want us to believe that?
Wow.
Because I don't. And, our mutual friend, Andrei Martyanov, he did a show where he revisited the fire that was on board an aircraft carrier in 1967 off the coast of Vietnam, the Forrestal. That was started by one John McCain, former senator, now part of the dearly departed, and he had a negligent discharge with a missile attached to the wings of one of his airplane, and that killed 19 sailors and injured about another 110 and caused a massive fire. It took 19 hours to put that one out.
Right.
So by comparison, you got to wonder what the hell actually happened on board the Gerald R. Ford.
I don't know, but it's. Oh, you go ahead. Sorry.
No, it just says
Can
not
I
normal.
add?
Yeah, jump right in.
Can I add one thing? Yeah. So I was talking to my friend Cameron McGregor. He's a former Navy officer, and I asked him the same thing. Have you ever heard of anything like that? He's like, no. The aircraft carrier's got thousands of compartments. It's really hard to sink because they're airtight compartments. But they couldn't put out a fire for 30 hours in a laundromat. And as far as those toilets, from what I've been told by Cameron and by a lot of other people from the Navy, because they said that's a soft mutiny. Those are sailors flushing ropes, T-shirts, and things like that down to clog up the filtration system.
Wow. Well, that's a long time at sea, all right? I'm thinking, why is it that all of the mutinies, not in the Army, not in the Air Force, seem to take place, in blue water? Let's say Mutiny on the Bounty. You've seen that. You've seen the Kane Mutiny. That took place at the sea. And you have even in real life, 1905, the Russian-Japanese War, there was a big mutiny, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct there? There was a 1905 uprising by the Russian Navy during that war, Stas?
No, not 1905. There was a mutiny in 1917.
Yeah, Germany
during the Revolution.
Okay.
In the Red and in the Imperial Fleet too.
Okay.
But
yeah.
1905, no, there wasn't. They may have saved the Navy if they had one, but unfortunately,
right.
no.
Now so I'll give you the when I'm with Marines and sailors, there's always some inter-service rivalry. So I always ask them this question: why do sailors have tattoos on their backs?
Well, tell me.
You know the answer?
No.
So the Marines have something to read.
Oh my God! I'm going to do this show next time from a strip bar. All right.
Well, yeah, but
all right. One in Florida.
But the response to that is they say, "I didn't know Marines could read."
Oh God! Yes, I know a guy in Kentucky got caught smuggling books into Kentucky. It's a Barry Crimmins line, but they couldn't. He got off because they couldn't. The judge couldn't prove they were books. All right. Let's go to.
I'm not going to start in West Virginia. I lived in West Virginia for a year and a half.
Yeah.
They get much worse than that.
Yes. Walter Brennan from the Real McCoys was from West Virginia. You remember that one, don't you, Larry? Yeah. Amos McCoy. Ah, man, this is a nostalgic show. Let's.
No brag, just fact.
That was the Guns of Will Sonnett. Right.
Yeah.
So what is going to happen, Stas, if you had to handicap a ground invasion? I'm thinking maybe the Dirty Dozen. That's going to be the only way you're going to get into one of those underground cities and take out the plutonium. Remember that? Did you ever see the Dirty Dozen?
Yes, I did.
Is that
okay? So there's a scenario that's floating around. I don't know if this was actually ever briefed, but if it was, that person should be beaten upside the shoulder of his head severely. That they're planning on dropping the 82nd Airborne into Iran. and then they're going to prepare a landing strip and hold the location to bring in the heavier transports to get the uranium out, plus the containment units, because it's only highly irradiated uranium. I don't know what's more funny, that or some black ops flying in helicopters in the middle of Iran, which would have to get refueled while we're at it, landing and then fighting their way into this base to get the uranium out. And for those people who say, well, why don't they just blow things up? I'll tell you why they don't blow things up down there. I was a consultant in Kazink, which is Kazakhstan zinc mines, and those are granite mountains. I mean, we're down between 1,200, 1,800 meters below the ground, basically 2 kilometers below the ground, mile and a half. And it's a solid granite mountain. And the way they they crash a chamber so they can get the ore out is to blow that chamber above you, you have to drill into that granite. You have to put blasting caps, pretty solid blasting caps in there, and after about 2 days of prepping, and you blow that, and that's only for about a 10 by 10 meter area. It's not 100 square feet basically. That's not a lot, and that's just to bring it down. And we're talking heavy equipment to just drill a mountain, and this is just a mountain, right? So these are tunnels cut into a mountain. These aren't even what's down there, where it's reinforced concrete structures inside that granite mountain. And those mountain bases can take a nuclear hit, and they'll keep on going. They're 500 meters inside of granite. They're not even going to get any radiation down there. So
wow.
These people that go, hey, we'll just blow it all up underneath. How many days are they going to spend down there? I mean, realistically speaking. Meanwhile, the Iranians, of course, have no idea that they're going to go after the uranium. They have no clue about that whatsoever. They'd never think of that. Special ops works well when they control the environment and they're in and out. Not when they have to go up against numerically superior, by hundreds to one local forces. They'll all get killed. Yeah. That's the reality of it. So these people are floating these ideas. They're either insane or have absolutely no idea how anything works.
Yeah. Wow. Larry, your thoughts about the way this war is going do you think that Iran is on the precipice of surrendering?
No.
I know. That was a retort. That was a kind of a joke. Yeah.
I mean, look.
Come on, go ahead. Give us what is going on there, Larry. I want you both to tell me what's going on. It seems like I mentioned double taps, and when I was in Donetsk, they did that all week. The day of Easter, they hit the big church there on Easter Day. As I was leaving, a double tap killed like 10 women that were praying. They were there early. It was 6 o'clock in the morning. And so they're doing the same thing. This bridge that was hit that wasn't even completed, they did a double tap on that one, killed a bunch of civilians. And in the meantime, Iran seems to be focusing on military targets. So go take it from there, Larry.
Well, let's deal first with Trump. He is displaying increasingly erratic behavior. Up until the first of this last week, he was kept in a cocoon, not told the realities, or was always being basically lied to about the actual progress of the war in Iran. And then Susie Wiles started looking at she's the chief of staff, so the public opinion polls, and realizing that they're in real trouble. And so they said, we got to, Trump's got to be, the president's got to be made aware of this. And so he's angry now, looking for some scapegoats. But seems also inclined to, he will commit war crimes. He is going to try to destroy, literally do to Iran what Israel has done to Gaza. Now, the problem with that is Iran is 4 times the size of Iraq, probably 30 times the size of Israel. So only unless he started dropping nuclear bombs would he be able to achieve that level of destruction. But if he does that, he's going to be up against the Russians and the Chinese.
Right. Well.
what has happened is the U.S. has depleted its supply of Patriot missiles, the PAC-3s, and the THAAD air defense missiles. So we no longer have even a minimal supply of air defense missiles. Yeah. Similarly, Israel is running out of its supply of David Sling and the Iron Dome.
Iron foam, I call it.
Yeah, well, there's nothing there. It's,
right.
It's got an iron deficiency.
I got that. I can identify with that.
They are so Iran is transitioning to if Trump is going to try to take out a power plant, then Iran's going to respond and take out Israel's power plant and the power plants of the Gulf nations. So whatever Trump tries to do, he's going to provoke a reaction from Iran that would be far more devastating for Israel and for Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, United Arab Emirates. And Iran has shown that it's got the ability to sustain and endure like the United States does not. So this is this next week's going to be critical because all of the forces, aviation assets, and troops have been put into theater now for an escalation, which in terms of putting people on the ground and trying to take and hold territory. And that is most likely going to result in a significant increase in U.S. casualties, including killed in action. Uh-huh. And then that's going to create further political problems for Trump. So he's basically trapped, and he is yet to figure a way to back away and to walk away from this.
Wow. Stas, do you mind if I call you Stas, or I call you Stanislav?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the oil aspect here, the blocking the Gulf of Hormuz, that and all of these, tanks and drilling stations, whatever they're called, being hit by everybody. It seems like. Mm-hmm. What is that doing to the global market, and how long will it take to recover? Especially those GCCs.
It depends what we're talking about. If there's hits on refineries.
I'm sorry. Yes.
But that's a localized issue. That means they can't refine that oil for themselves. I mean, those are refineries are used to get fuel for Saudi Arabia, for Bahrain, and so on, or Iran. Then there's the loading facilities. So what you do is you have a oil cleaning facility because the oil comes out of the ground. It's not just oil. It's got sand. It's got other chemicals. It's everything that's underground. You have acids underground. I mean, you have a lot of things underground. And that needs to be cleaned out before it gets pumped into a ship. So there's oil facilities. That's what Carg Island, by the way, is. It's a pumping facility for loading ships. And I'm not sure whether it looks like it has a cleaning facility built in on it from the satellite photos. Then there's the oil. Oil wellheads. So that's the well. That's the structure above the well. Depending on where you're at, it's either called a Christmas tree or it's called a fountain. And that has different valves on there. They control the flow, and you can with gas it's much more difficult. But with oil, you can switch it off. I mean, by closing the valves. And that's the wellhead right there. So the damage, if it's a refinery, first of all, like when you see Ukraine hitting Russian refineries, what they're actually hitting most of the time is not the refinery, because refineries are huge. I mean, these things go on for miles, right? If anybody's living in Texas, go by Beaumont, Texas, and you'll see a refinery, Beaumont Refinery. It's a gigantic facility. And if you hit the actual refinery, you don't get a big explosion, because almost all of it's computerized, it's computer monitored, and as soon as pressure falls at any one part, it automatically switches off the valves. So no more chemicals or fuel or the refined product it goes down that pipe. So it all stops the process. So you don't get the big, pretty explosion. So when the Ukrainians are hitting the Russian oil refineries, what they're actually hitting is the storage tanks for the oil. And those are allowed to burn out. You cut them off from any of the other storage tanks, but the pipes You switch the valves off, and you just let it burn. It's destroyed, but it's easy to replace. They're low tech. So that's what they may be hitting in the refineries there. But it looks like the Iranians, when they fire back, and with the Americans and the Israelis when they fire, they're aiming for destroying the actual infrastructure, not because it looks pretty, but to try to destroy the infrastructure. Now, once you actually do real serious damage to a refinery, that could take quite a bit of time to get back up. For one of the reasons, I mean, it's a huge metal construction, so you got all these girders to hold the pipes up, to hold the vessels up. Two, I mean, the pipes can be replaced relatively quickly. Valves can be replaced if they're in stock, but again, nobody produces that many valves for this big of an issue to replace and repair so many wellheads and refineries and everything else of the entire Persian Gulf area. Nobody, I mean, that's going to be delays in that. Vessels that are used for various chemical processes. I was supply chain director on a construction project for an EPC company, Italian EPC company, for the Moscow refinery. We were expanding it to make E95 gasoline, and for one of the three phases of the Gazprom Neft giant LNG facility. And some of those, just for that one portion to expand the refinery in Moscow, there was about 100 and something vessels. Most of them were 1 meter to 3 meters long, but we had 2 78-meter vessels. And you're talking about 4 or 5 months of, and they're all made by hand, they're by design. I mean, you don't mass produce these. They're by project. They're made by hand. I mean, just moving that thing was an incredible headache. And we were moving it from Tambov to Moscow, which is about 500 kilometers. Okay, 350 miles for the standard-based people. And we were literally having to lift several buildings, small modular buildings, out of the way, bring cranes in, lift them off their foundations because you couldn't get this through. It's 78 meters long, and plus the truck, so it's all about 85 meters long. It's just gigantic. And there was even some roads they couldn't go under because they'd bottom out. So I mean, this is a huge logistics issue. And now anything that's created has to be shipped to the Middle East on top of that. So now you're adding that much more logistics. So you could be looking at some very serious delays in getting these things up. Now, if the wellhead's destroyed, again, if it's just the wellhead's damaged, the Christmas tree above it, depending how many of them, you could have replacements brought in pretty fast because they're modularized and they're put together. But if it's a huge field, and it's lots of fields, again, you're back to nobody makes that much to put on shelf. They're usually made some amount to put on shelf, and the rest goes directly to a project. So you're getting paid for. Now, if the wells are damaged, now you're going to a whole different level. If the piping's been destroyed, it's collapsed in there, you can go fishing for it with magnets and with bores. You can go down there and you pull parts of pipes out, and you got to get the pipe back in, you got to cement it back in, and so on. But if it's very serious damage, you just cement, you put a cap into that well, and you have to go drill a new well. So again, not having walked those areas, I can't tell you exactly how long. But from the pictures I saw of the LNG plant in Qatar, I'd say 1.5 to 2 years before that's up and running. And that's from the pictures I saw from Iran's hits. Now, I've read what people have said there on the ground. They said it's fully destroyed. So this is basically having to build from zero. So right off the bat, you're looking at giant timelines. But here's a couple other questions that go along with that. First of all, if the water desalination plants are destroyed, you're talking about massive human catastrophe. You're talking mass human casualties within 2 days.
Wow. Because
no water in 95 to 110 degree heat, and summer hasn't arrived yet. People will die within a day with no water and that kind of heat.
And that's your Jesus.
That's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking millions. I mean, these are artificial countries.
They're all contrived constructs by the Brits. Yeah.
Exactly. I went to Dubai for a business trip when I was in Halliburton. And I like to see old places and ruins and things like that. So I was looking for historic Dubai. Couldn't find anything on the internet about historic Dubai. I get there, and I'm talking to the locals, and they're laughing. It's like, historic Dubai was a mud brick fort with a small village and a couple of piers. that's it, and it's gone. They took it all the way down and just built buildings on top of it. Right. There is no historic Dubai. There's no historic Abu Dhabi. There's no historic any of these places because they're all just pissant little villages for the local sheikh, and the vast majority of the population, which wasn't very big to begin with, were Bedouin nomads. So all of these other people that moved there, there's no way to support them. You got to bring in food. They don't grow food. But, okay, you can starve for quite a while before you die. But, man, no water one day in a desert like that, and you're a dead man. And then, just to add on to that, and obviously, you're not going to get fertilizer, chemical fertilizer out until the processing plants for gas are up and running. But then there's the issue of, on top of that, these are corporations masking themselves as a country. So now you go to these Arabs and you go to the Arab leadership that owns these areas, and they go, it's going to take $100 billion or maybe $200 billion in 3 years to fix this. Meanwhile, you're not making a single penny. Are you ready to take that money out of your bank accounts and fix this? Or do you just cut bait and you just go live the best life you can off the money that you've already put in the Western banks and just forget about it? Or maybe Trump just confiscates that money of your Western banks because he wants the Arabs to pay for his war anyways. But either way, will they stick it out and actually rebuild all of this? I don't know. I don't know. That's a big question.
Larry, we got 3 minutes left, Larry. All right, okay. All right. I want you to go to Dubai and build a building next to that tallest building and build it all the way up. I was there. I stopped by and hung out with Afshin Ratanzi for 2 days. At this point, it was April 1st, 2023, and I said, this place is like Disneyland. This is not like a real. It really was. It was like something.
It's Disneyland for adults.
That's of course. I've never seen
the number of hookers in Orlando.
Right. Yes, I know. I went to a place called Gall, this restaurant. It was like 90% whores, or prostitutes, or working women. Let me be politically correct. Larry, we got 2 minutes. Tell me about, first of all, do you think the border peace will ever happen? Will they? That's not ever going to happen. So that anyone who put money into that lost it at the track, right? Where is Israel right now? Tell me about Israel for 2 minutes.
It's not losing it its track. It is both Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and I believe it was either Bahrain or Kuwait. 4 of them pledged $1 billion apiece. And then, remember, Qatar also promised Donald Trump, man, we're going to get you a big, beautiful new airplane to replace that crappy old Air Force One. Man, I think all of those guys right now are having buyer's remorse. They realize they've been had.
It's over, man. I mean, that's never going to happen. I mean, the Iranians are never going to let them have a border peace. They're run by Tony Blair and Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner and the other one, the other real estate guy, what's his name? Witkoff. Heckle and Jekyll. You remember that one, right? Yeah. They remind me of Heckle and Jekyll. All right, Larry, you got just 2 minutes now, not even less. I got to run.
You said 2 minutes. You said 2 minutes.
I know. Well, I'm giving you till another minute and a half. How bad is it for Israel in the next 90 seconds?
Yeah, it's bad. Israel's, they've lost they've lost 41 tanks destroyed and another 60 damaged. So they've really suffered tremendous casualties with their tankers, with their armor. They're suffering many more casualties than they did during the 2006 invasion of the southern Lebanon. They're stretched to the point that the chief of staff of the Israeli Defense Force told the cabinet, Bibi Netanyahu and crew, hey, we're screwed. We are screwed.
Wow.
So there you have it.
Well, man, this went by so quickly, and I didn't even get into the rifleman with Stas, with Chuck Connors. But we're going to go out. We got another hour ahead of us, a whole different panel. I want to thank Larry Johnson, Sonar 21, Countercurrents. You can see that, and you can see him everywhere. Believe me, he's everywhere. And Stas, I'm going to get this, Stanislav Krapivnik. Yep. I got it right.
Good man.
All right. It's In the Eye of Truth. It's a great podcast. It really is. Just go there. All right, look it up like I did and watch. He's got a whole bunch of wonderful videos, and except for the one you got to stop doing. Poor Andre doing that Mario show there, being tortured by him. And speaking of Dubai,
with him, so.
I can't wait. All right, this is a song. We're going to go out by a 1942 Russian song called "Dark is Night." You know this one, Stas?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to go out. You guys can listen to it. Then we're going to be back with Larry Wilkerson and Craig Murray and somebody else. Who else? Fritz, of course. Fritz just called me, said he'd be 2 minutes late. Thank you so much, Larry. Thank you so much, Stas. Beautiful.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Тускло звезды мерцают, в темную ночь ты, любимая, знаю, не спишь, и у детской кроватки тайком ты слезу утираешь. Как я люблю глубину твоих ласковых глаз, как я хочу к ним прижаться теперь губами. Темная ночь разделяет, любимая, нас, и тревожная черная степь пролегла между нами. Верю в тебя, дорогую подругу мою, эта вера от пули меня темной ночью хранила.